What's happening? What up? What it do? That's for sure. But everybody in my city say, what up, doe? What up? What up, doe? What up? What up, doe? Salute, 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 yo. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. Allowances made for the fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use, y'all. Salute everybody. Salute, salute. Welcome everybody coming in and out of the live. Kindly, if you could hit that thumbs up button for yours truly in the biggest I know, comment, share the live, subscribe, y'all. It's free. Become a member if you would like. All that and some more. Let's see what's going on around Detroit and surrounding cities and states.
And they're behind me. And all right, good morning, everyone. We waiting for anybody? We're good. Okay. Behind me in this garden-style apartment complex is an apartment. Inside that apartment resides a man and his wife in their 30s, their one-year-old baby, and the wife's parents in their early 50s. At some point this morning, the son-in-law was cleaning the snow off of his car in the parking lot and heard a disturbance coming from his apartment. Again, inside the apartment, when the man was cleaning the snow from his car, is the man's wife.
Has Kyrie texted you back?
I don't want to talk about it.
How was the math test?
Their one-year-old baby and his in-laws, or her mother and her father. Another 911 caller resides in the building nearby. She too heard a commotion. So two 911 calls came in pretty close to each other from the son-in-law, who's in the parking lot cleaning the snow off of his car, and from another occupant in the building. The son-in-law goes back into the apartment, finds his wife suffering from stab wounds, and seemingly, and again, it's early in the investigation, he enters the apartment and sees that his father-in-law is armed with a knife that I'll describe generally as a curved dagger. It's got about a 10-inch blade to it. It resembles, frankly, a meat cleaver, but it's a curved dagger with a very long blade. His father-in-law is armed with that, and he is stabbing his wife. He had already stabbed his daughter, and then the father-in-law turned the knife on his son-in-law. So there are 3 stabbing victims. The father/father-in-law stabbed and killed his daughter, and she's been pronounced deceased. He stabbed and injured his wife. He stabbed and injured his son-in-law. The wife and the son-in-law who were stabbed are in a grave condition, life-threatening condition, and they're being treated at a local hospital. Thankfully, the baby was unharmed. To describe this scene as bloody is an understatement. The damage and the chaos and the carnage that was perpetrated by this man in his 50s on his own family is unimaginable. So our police officers were dispatched to this chaotic scene, arrived within several minutes. When our officers made their way into the apartment, the father/father-in-law was literally in progress stabbing his son-in-law with that knife, with that curved, long-bladed dagger. Our officer gave repeated commands, one after another, to this perpetrator, the father-in-law, to drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. Not only does he not drop the knife, but he still proceeds to stab the son-in-law. And again, the son-in-law is one of the 911 callers.
Just so you guys know, this is right now. This came out 3 hours ago. Wow, this is America.
Who apparently made his way back into the apartment to intervene, to save lives. I'm sure to rescue his baby. So our officer discharged his firearm and killed the suspect, the perpetrator, the knife-wielding man who had just killed his own daughter and had just stabbed brutally his own wife and brutally his own son-in-law. I can't imagine what was going on behind those four walls. Really great job, grace under pressure for someone to make a 911 call when a neighbor heard this commotion in progress. The turmoil that man was going through that would somehow compel him to stab in a really brutal way his own family member like that. I can't wrap my head around that. The loss of any life is something that we all take very seriously. And whenever a Fairfax County police officer discharges his or her firearm to save lives, and that's exactly what happened today. Our police officer was on the scene and literally in a life-saving effort tried to save the life of a man who was being stabbed to death by his own father-in-law. So that young police officer who discharged his firearm preliminarily, and I saw the body-worn camera, and our executive command team saw the body-worn camera footage, did exactly what we expect him to do, and quite frankly, exactly what our community expects him to do. So his grace under pressure, his bravery, his effort to save lives may in fact have done that. I don't know yet, because the son-in-law who was being stabbed by the father-in-law is still in grave condition and is being operated, I think, on right now. But that young police officer did what we expect him to do, and I will pause there and take any questions, and I'll start with Neil Augenstein.
Hi, Chief. Okay, so can you describe a little bit more about what the person who was clearing the car heard? Can you, I mean, you said it's disturbance, but it was yelling.
So Neil, it sounds like, if I understand your question, the son-in-law is like many other people in the community this morning, even right now, cleaning the snow off of his car, and hears something coming from the apartment. And again, it's the apartment where he resides with his wife, their baby, and his in-laws or her parents. So he hears some type of commotion and rushes back into the apartment and is confronted by a bloodbath of a scene where his wife is stabbed, his mother-in-law is stabbed, the baby is present right in the middle of it all. You'll see that in the body camera footage that we release to the community after each and every critical officer involved shooting or critical incident, quite frankly. So you'll see exactly what we saw in the body camera footage. It's clear to me that the son-in-law was in a position to hear something going wrong inside the apartment where he lives with his family, rushed inside to find an unimaginable scene of his father-in-law butchering his family. Yes, ma'am.
Davis, I'm Jacqueline Flynn with WSA 9. Can I just clarify, the victim that did die, was that the mother or the daughter? And were there any prior incidents to this residence?
So I'm sorry. So I should have made that clear. The woman who's been pronounced deceased is the daughter. So her father stabbed and killed her. There are no prior calls for service, domestic violence or otherwise, at this residence. There's no history with the family that we can tell at the moment. That's always something that we look into. But right now, there are no previous calls for service for domestic disturbances here or other crimes. Yes.
Chief, can you discuss, or are you going to name any of the victims at this time? Either the, are you going to name the suspect or the one who killed them?
Not at the moment. We have to make sure all the next of kin notifications are taking place. Right now, the only one of this entire family that's alive and conscious is the baby. So we have to figure out what relatives may be nearby so we can make those next of kin notifications. But like we typically do, either in a follow-up news conference or a follow-up press statement, we will make all those people known to the community and to the local media.
Can you also talk about just how quickly this officer had to act and how many years? You said it's a young officer.
He's a young officer with a couple years on the department. So imagine he's dispatched to this chaotic scene and there's 2 911 callers, and he makes his way into this garden-style apartment. He goes down a set of stairs, and literally there is a bloodbath of a scene that made its way from inside the apartment to the hallway. So he sees the amount and the volume of the blood and knows that he's confronting, or he's about to confront, a life-threatening situation. And in fact, when he opens the door and sees the father-in-law armed with a knife stabbing his son-in-law, he still attempts his very best job to de-escalate, to get him to drop the knife. He refuses to do so. A life was in the process of literally being taken when our police officer discharged his firearm.
This is all in the front, like as soon as you opened the door, that was happening.
Yes.
And how many years does this officer have?
I think at least a couple years, but I'll get all that for you guys.
What happens to the baby or the 1-year-old?
So the baby, 1-year-old toddler, the baby to me, not harmed at all. But that baby's being looked at right now and cared for, and we have our Victim Services Division and Child Protective Services who are on the scene right now, just attempting to make sure that baby's safe.
To reach out to the family for whoever.
Yeah, all the things you can imagine that we're going to do to make sure that baby has a family to go to and is otherwise cared for. That's all happening right now.
The officer who first arrived, was it the only officer in the cruiser, or was there another?
So it was, thank you, Neil. There were 2 officers that were dispatched. As the 2 officers made their way into the apartment itself, obviously one officer is in front of the other. He was the officer who was repeatedly issuing verbal commands to get the man armed with this curved dagger, this meat cleaver, who was stabbing his family, to drop the knife. He refused to do so, and that's when he discharged his firearm. Yes, ma'am.
Is the baby a boy or a girl?
You know what? You're going to make me guess. I don't know. It's a little baby, toddler, 1-year-old, but we'll get that information.
Do you know what time the first call came in? What time you guys got here?
We're going to give you the whole timeline after I'm done just making these initial remarks.
And can you say at all what led up to this? Were they having an argument? Or?
Now that's a great question. And you know, like a lot of family disputes and domestic violence and the things that happen behind the 4 walls of any home, whether it's a single family home or an apartment residence like this one, we don't know yet what turmoil, what strife was happening in their lives. But I can't imagine anything would compel any human being to butcher his own family like he did today.
Are you the last time you had a case like this?
Well, you know, I nothing comes to mind, and I've been doing this a long time, as have all of us, that a person, a patriarch of a family, attempts to take so many lives in such a moment like this. So this, thank God, doesn't happen here or elsewhere very often. But when it does, it reminds all of us that domestic violence can start at a really low level and escalate really, really quickly. So for those who are in positions, friends, family, neighbors, or otherwise, that know that domestic violence is taking place anywhere, we encourage those folks to reach out to their local police department to get us involved to prevent a tragedy like this one from happening.
Is it known if the suspect has any kind of criminal history?
No, I don't know that now. We know that there's no history at the residence for calls for service or crimes or disturbances, but we'll be in a position, as you all will be in a position, to determine if in fact our suspect, once we name him, has a criminal history. But he's, I think, in his very early 50s.
Are you doing toxicology reports? I know that the suspect is dead, so is that something that you determine after?
Yeah, all those things take place whenever someone dies in terms of a murder or an officer-involved fatal shooting. So autopsies, toxicology reports, all those things are done routinely. And again, the Fairfax County Police Department, mourns the loss of any life, period. We wish we didn't have to be here standing to announce the death of anyone. but our officers are trained to intervene. They're trained to stop chaos and lives from being taken, and that's exactly what occurred here today.
Is there anything the public can do to help in this situation? I don't know if it was the guidance that you mentioned. If it's
Yeah, well, that's a good question. What can the public do to continue to help? Well, I think that happened this morning when a neighbor heard a commotion and dialed 911 and stayed safe while he or she made that call. So, we're not asking for the community to insert themselves or put themselves in harm's way when they hear or see something that's taking place like this, but at least call us and get the police on the way. And we were here in a matter of minutes, and those two young police officers who were here did exactly what we expected them to do.
Sir, is this a newer family to the community? Do the neighbors seem to know them or have any relationship?
I don't know, and those are some of the questions that we have as well. So when we have a follow-up opportunity to interact with you all, we'll fill the blanks in. And again, it's our own self-imposed policy for the last several years. We'll release the body camera footage. We'll release the 911 audio, all those things, and it's our promise to the community to do that within 30 days. And we look forward to doing that, because transparency rules the day when it comes to these types of police actions that are unfortunately necessary from time to time to save lives.
A routine administratively for the officer who fired, or both the officers?
So the officer who discharged his firearm, he'll be on a modified duty status while this investigation takes place, and we work with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to do that as well. But the services that are being afforded to not only the family and those who are impacted by this crime who live in the community, it's the same level of care that we afford our own police officers who are involved in these traumatic critical incidents, because it's tough. In spite of their training, it's a difficult scenario for them to go through as well. So I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yo, that is in Washington, the state of Washington. This that was 3 hours ago, y'all. Wow. Wow.
Accused of killing again. News 5 investigator Scott Knoll spoke 10 years after being acquitted of murder. An Akron man is accused of killing again. News 5 investigator Scott Knoll spoke with the victim's sister tonight, questioning why this alleged killer was walking free in the first place.
This is Marcus Price. Tonight, he's in the Summit County Jail facing murder, rape, kidnapping, and felonious assault charges. Accused of killing his ex-girlfriend and beating and sexually assaulting another woman. All of it we found while awaiting trial in at least 3 other cases. New Year's Day, Copley police called to this hotel on Rothrock Loop, where they found 24-year-old Shauna Pasquale dead inside a room, beaten to death. Pasquale's sister says the Erie, Pennsylvania native came to Copley about a month before and was living at the hotel. Police say sharing the room with 29-year-old Marcus Price around the time she was killed. 8 days later, police say they tracked Price to Akron's Kenmore neighborhood. And not only did they find him, investigators say they also found a woman reported missing and endangered by her family. Police say over the course of 10 days, Price brutally beat and sexually assaulted the woman. So badly, they say, she suffered broken bones, internal injuries, and had to be treated at the hospital. Today, Price was charged in both cases. Pasquale's sister tells me the family learned of the developments today, and she says she still wonders the same thing she told us last month.
For someone to put that much aggression towards her, I need to know why. I need to know what made you that angry that you could take someone's life with your bare hands.
Another thing Rachel Pasquale is coming to grips with is Price's criminal history and why he was free at the time her sister was killed. Here's what we discovered. In 2016, a jury found Price not guilty of murder in the shooting death of a 17-year-old in Akron. but he was convicted of tampering with evidence in that case and sentenced to 3 years in prison. By 2022, Price was convicted and sentenced to prison again, this time for aggravated possession of drugs and being a felon in possession of a weapon. Court records show he also pleaded guilty in 2022 in a separate case to assaulting a woman. And at the time of Pasquale's murder, we found Marcus Price was already facing 2 different domestic violence charges, strangulation, and gross sexual imposition charges. Pasquale's sister told me she's looking forward to watching Price stay locked up. She just wishes it didn't take her sister losing her life and another woman almost losing hers for it to happen. I'm News.
Just FYI, y'all better be careful in Ohio. They still have the death penalty, yo. Wow. Wow, they dropped the ball on that one for sure. That was in Akron. This is Cleveland reporting it. This was 2 days ago, yo. 2 days ago. Wow. What is going on, America? What the hell?
I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll continuing to uncover new details in the case of a Stark County woman charged with murdering a Tennessee sheriff's deputy. The latest details come from Christy Cunningham's personnel file with the State Department of Corrections, and specifically this letter of resignation from last September. And one legal expert believes we're not the only ones looking at it. He believes this could be a key defense exhibit based on what's in here. Since the January 30th shooting that killed Weakley County, Tennessee Sheriff Deputy Derek Bonham, the question lingered, why?
How does a woman from Stark County end up in this small rural community with a gun, drawing police to her, and then shooting a police officer and killing him?
Michael Benza is a law professor at Case Western Reserve University. While still early in the case, he believes there may be clues in Christy Cunningham's September resignation letter to prison administrators.
If it's written by her, it does raise some significant concerns about her mental health issues.
In the letter, Cunningham claims her resignation after less than 2 years working at Mansfield's Richland Correctional Institute is, quote, under protest and not voluntary. In it, she blames conditions so intolerable that no reasonable employee could remain, saying she was forced to take stress leave and that she exhausted her leave hours months ago, despite physicians supporting continued leave for mental health treatment, even accusing the department's conduct of shattering her mental health. Benza says it's important to notice something else, too.
She is raising grievances regarding law enforcement, that is, corrections officers. The victim in this case is law enforcement. You would want to explore, is there a connection between that?
A prison spokesperson says the department disagrees with the characterizations that Cunningham made, and Benza stresses it's too early to draw any conclusions from the letter. However, he believes it's a piece of the puzzle that both prosecutors and the defense will continue to put together. The attorney listed in court documents for Cunningham has not responded to a request for comment based on what we found. Cunningham's due in court Friday for a preliminary hearing on a first-degree murder charge. I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll.
Nano Banana Pro is now on Artlist.
Man, and let's see how long this one was. 3 days ago, but crazy. A couple days ago, police unliving a man, and now a citizen unliving the po-po. It's crazy. It's the 23rd day of the second month. Yeah, starting it off like it's, I'm not surprising. Like, this shit crazy. Nothing but all bad. Like, I remember when they used to have like a little bit of good shit on the news, but I don't know. It's all bad, yo. It's all bad. Damn.
It's been nearly 24 years since the disappearance of 7-year-old Alexis Patterson here in Milwaukee. Now her mother says she plans to file a lawsuit, saying investigators haven't done enough to find her daughter. As 12 News' Nick Bull reports tonight, she put Milwaukee police and the state attorney general on notice this week.
It's one of Milwaukee's most enduring mysteries, the 2002 disappearance of 7-year-old Alexis Patterson. Now, her mother, Ayanna, is filing a notice of claim against the Milwaukee Police Department, citing, quote, police misconduct and corruption in their failed efforts to seek justice for Alexis Patterson.
Hold on, never mind.
Saying police have wrongly focused on her and her family.
Law enforcement have tried to coerce her into taking responsibility for what happened to her daughter.
Ronnie Bowe is Ayanna Patterson's personal representative.
Nobody has done anything effective to bring Alexis Patterson back home.
Alexis's stepfather, Laurent Bourgeois, said at the time they walked from that house here across the street to Highmount Elementary School for her start of the school day. That was the last time anyone reported seeing her alive. That was nearly 24 years ago. But to police, Bourgeois wasn't just the stepfather. He was the accomplice in the shooting death of Glendale police officer Ronald Hedbenny. Ayanna Patterson tells 12 News she believes police focused on him because of that connection, rather than consider other possibilities or suspects. Bourgeois has since died. Bowe says he could understand why police may have looked at the parents suspiciously, but that set back the investigation and continues to do so.
It's easier to believe that a young...
Yo, who are you? Type it in the chat. Can you hear me, D? Type it in the chat. Who are you? Yo, I just don't let anybody up here, you know, I gotta protect my yard, so, let me know what's up in the chizzy chat, no disrespect, bro, but, yeah, I gotta protect this my yard, bro, or ma'am, no disrespect, but, D, I don't know who you are, I appreciate you for hitting the link, but, I've never seen you over here on my platform before. And again, I have to protect my yard.
Black girl dealing with a husband who was known for being a criminal. It's easier to believe that than it is to believe that, you know, law enforcement mishandled the case and didn't properly investigate the case.
Further, Ayanna tells 12 News she's convinced her daughter is alive and living in Ohio. But she says police bungled DNA tests, either accidentally or deliberately, preventing the identification. She's hoping this new threat of a lawsuit can finally lead to some answers. In Milwaukee, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
Damn, Milwaukee. That's crazy work. I hope they can find Alexis. Justice for Alexis, y'all.
Found your daughter dead. I said, oh my God. Immediately I started, tears began to stream down my face.
But first on Fox, an investigation is underway into a teen girl's death. Thanks for joining us for Fox 2 News at 10. I'm Max Dieknight. 2 months after a North St. Louis teen disappeared, her family is now preparing for her funeral. Tonight, her father is sharing the moment he learned that she'd been found dead. Fox 2's Taylor Harris has their story.
I spoke with her father just days after learning his daughter will not be returning home, and now he says grief is not the only thing his family is living with. Uncertainty is. And for nearly 2 months, the Gibson family searched for 18-year-old Waniana Gibson. Police say she was last seen December 22nd leaving her home, telling her mother she'd be right back. She never returned. Investigators tracked her riding Metro buses downtown, and then nothing until Monday. Barge workers discovered a body in the Mississippi River near Festus. 2 days later, police called her father.
And when I got the news, I just began to break down. But I began to call on the name of Jesus.
He said he had prayed for answers, just not these.
She just took off, and she was scared. She was scared in her heart, and she had a lot going through her mind, and what she was doing is isolating herself from the issue.
Her father believes something happened after she got off the bus that night, and now the family waits for the autopsy to explain how she ended up miles away in the river. But while investigators work, he remembers the daughter behind the headlines.
She was a very touching person, and her heart, and she was a woman of God too, true woman of God. Her life touched so many lives. I'm going to miss her. That was my princess.
The family is now planning her homegoing celebration instead of a welcome home. And now her father has a message for whoever may know what happened.
Whoever done this, I pray that that God will forgive them, but also justice will be served.
Police say the investigation into Waniana Gibson's death remains active, and anyone with information is asked to contact St. Louis police. And her family says answers will not bring her back, but they said that they need them to.
That was 2 days ago. That's just all around the world, y'all. So let's see what's going on in the 313. Yo, Detroit.
Sterling Heights, and all of it was caught on home security video.
Yeah, pretty despicable here. Those.
Stephanie, a case of animal cruelty being investigated in Sterling Heights, and all of it was caught on home security video.
Yeah, pretty despicable here. Those dogs are now with animal control, and the owner is facing possible charges. Fox 2's Camille Murray is live tonight in Sterling Heights. Camille, what do we know about this case?
Yeah, it happened here at Sterling Landings apartment complex behind me, 15 Mile and Van Dyke. Let's take a look at some video and let's talk about what happened. So this, as you said, caught on Ring doorbell video. The man attempting to, well, actually he did, I shouldn't say attempting, hitting the dog with the leash and then punching the dog, also yelling at the dog. This was captured on video. Neighbors posted it on social media and then, of course, also sent it to police. Police sprang into action. They started investigating. This man is facing charges for animal abuse and also for not licensing, failure to license his dogs. Those dogs taken away.
I just have one question. So they receive a video of a human being doing this to an animal, but we got shorties out here. Yo, we got shorties out here that they won't even show up for. I just had to say that. I'm sorry, because animals do matter too, but it's just like, it just blows my mind. It blows me, yo. It blows me.
Right now, they are in good hands. They are doing well. Take a listen to what police had to say about this case.
Once they identified the subject, they actually had to wait around for that individual to return home. And once that individual did return home, they went to the residence with other officers, and they were actually able to locate the dog in question. And then there was another dog at the residence as well, which they took both dogs for protective custody.
And I asked the lieutenant, what was the reaction of the man when he saw police there waiting for him? He said he was quite surprised. I think this is just the moral to the story. Obviously, don't abuse your dog. Second of all, you always have to be aware that cameras are everywhere, and they very well may capture your actions. And if you're doing something wrong, police People often say, you know, see something, say something, and that was the case here today. For now, we're live in Sterling Heights. Camille and Mary, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, Camille.
I just have to say it one more time. Like, what about that story where the CPS workers went on a welfare check with the open CPS investigation and Shorty had bruises all over her face and y'all walked away and, you know, she lost her life that night and she was only 3 years old. That was just like 3-4 days ago. Wow. I'm glad they saved that dog, y'all.
And firefighters responded to a burning home this morning on the east side of Detroit.
Yeah, crews there battling flames, rescuing one person and 2 dogs from the house. Fox 2's Ingrid Kelly is there.
As this investigation continues, fire crews tell me the person removed from the house was not supposed to be there.
We got a report of dwelling fires, supposedly a civilian inside. Upon extinguishment, the civilian was found in the bedroom that was not on fire on the 2nd floor. They were removed from the building. He was still breathing, transported over to EMS, and taken to St. John Hospital.
So what do we know about the origins of the fire?
That part right now is under investigation. We have arson on scene right now and also police.
And arson because that's just protocol?
With the civilian being removed, yes.
So what do we have here? It's a lot of response here.
We've got 4 engines, a truck, and a rescue squad here. So Engine 50 was the first arriving company. They were the ones that laid down the attack line. The remainder of the crews went into search and rescue. And then our ladder truck, that's the one with the big aerial on top, they provided ventilation to get the smoke out to assist with the extinguishment.
How difficult is it fighting fires in this sort of weather?
It's a pain. Everything's a lot slipperier, even responding. Even getting here, yeah, I kind of slid a little bit. Luckily, I was far enough behind Engine 50 knowing that the conditions were bad, but more risk of injury due to slip and fall.
No injuries to firefighters?
None whatsoever.
Were there working smoke detectors?
There was nothing inside.
And was this a squatting situation?
That part I don't know. As of right now, it looks like it. We have DT on site for an illegal hookup. They were bringing in power to the house illegally, and there was no gas.
Welcome to Detroit City, yo. Yeah. That's crazy. A lot of people do that in the bandos, yo. The last story, the last fire that happened was maybe a month or 2 ago at the Motel 6. And it was a pay and stay, and you know, everyone got out, and the children and the animals, and you know, of course, you know, the hero, one of the firefighters had to be dug out from the rubbish. Like, he was in there. I watched the video and I did it on my platform, and he was buried, yo. Super sad. I haven't heard anything or seen any update on him, but this story just made me think of him and everybody at the Motel 6. You know, I hope that he is okay.
Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News.
To be honest, sometimes I actually have no idea what's going on until I open Monday.com. And boom, everything's there. Statuses, timelines, budgets, all in one clear dashboard. And if I want to send something up the chain, 2 clicks, and it's a beautiful report. You're welcome. And now that AI is being
Two-year-old mother, a Navy veteran living in Jacksonville, who's now been missing for more than a week. Our Haja Ba is live on the west side at the woman's home. And Haja, right now the family is saying they just want some answers to this.
That's right, Jeannie. So Margaret Hangley was last seen on February 9th. And tonight I spoke with the son, and he says he believes his mother was involved in a scam before she went missing.
But my brother and sister, they're distraught. They're not
eating or sleeping very well. Again, we just want to get our mom home.
Jomo Thompson is 72-year-old Margaret Hanley's son. He tells me his family hasn't heard from her in over a week. I pulled into her home on Jacksonville's west side Tuesday. There was no car in the driveway. After filing a missing persons report, Thompson says he reviewed his mother's bank account and discovered she had been sending large amounts of money to someone. Transactions, he says, were unusual and concerning.
She's a very friendly person, very smart person, and I just don't know how someone could have taken advantage of her like that. It's just kind of sad. It's just like a loss for words. I almost feel like a bad kid for not, being there more or not checking in more, the type of things that you run through when something like this happens.
According to the family, her 2001 silver Toyota RAV4 has pinged in Gainesville and Stark, Florida. According to the family, her 2001 silver Toyota RAV4 has pinged in Gainesville and Stark, Florida. This picture is of her at the gas station in Stark. Most recently, the truck pinged in Hinesville, Georgia. Thompson added that his mother has short-term memory loss.
Like, if you asked her what she had for lunch today, she might not be able to remember that. But you ask her, hey, where were you 10 years ago? And she'll be able to tell you I was stationed here or stationed there.
Now, detectives say the case has not met Florida's Silver Alert criteria, and alerts wouldn't apply if she believed to be outside the state. Her family continues to search for answers and is urging the community for help. As the days go by, just describe how has this been emotionally, this whole experience overall for you and your family?
Just kind of at a loss for words and don't know what the next steps are. I've even reached out and hired a private investigator. I figured the more people looking and chasing down leads, the better it will be. I'm just trying to keep my focus and energies on being positive and just trying to chase down leads and give them to detectives and just try to bring her home.
And if you have any...
Dang, so we got Nancy and Margaret, both elderly, both missing. Crazy. What is going on, America? What in the hell? I hope they find Nancy and Margaret, yo.
It was perfect, and there was no warning signs or anything.
But just one day into her cruise vacation, this Maryland mother lost her twins. Now, though, it's becoming a financial fight to bring their babies' bodies home. When you plan an overseas vacation, you probably don't think about having a medical emergency. No. But according to a survey, nearly 1 in 4 Americans have had medical issues while traveling abroad. 13% of them required care.
And that was the case for an Abingdon woman. And the ordeal is not over. Medical reporter Mindy Becerra joins us now with her devastating story, Mindy.
Warning, this is an incredibly sad story. And when you hear it, it's hard to imagine what Paris Singleton Ajero endured and how she and her husband are coping with such tragic loss.
Paris Singleton Ajero and John Ajero hold each other tight in the wake of something so painful, it's difficult to put into words. Instead of celebrating their twins' gender reveal, they're fighting to bring their babies' bodies back from a foreign country.
I just want to be able to hold my children, just be able to see them and have them in my presence,
It all started with the best intentions, a joyous trip for mother and daughter before twins JJ and Journey Rose arrived. Paris was 21 weeks pregnant and was cleared by her doctors to travel.
Dang, not baby JJ? What the hell?
She and mom Dolores boarded a ship for a gospel cruise in Tampa on February 1st. Destination?
Cozumel, Mexico, but we didn't make it there.
Less than a day into the trip, the nightmare began.
It was around 3:30 a.m. when things just went completely south, and I wasn't even processing what was happening.
Paris was in preterm labor. She delivered JJ on the ship. He lived for about an hour.
They called me around 4:30, and 4:30, I somehow woke up to the call, and I found out about the birth of my son. I was able to see my son through FaceTime, luckily.
For the next 12 hours, Paris lay in the ship's infirmary completely still, fighting to keep Journey alive.
They basically told me, don't move, don't cry. Basically, I couldn't do anything. They didn't want me to use any abdominal muscles. They wanted to prevent another birth on the cruise. So I just laid in this one spot on my left side for the duration of it.
Paris's own condition was dire. She needed a blood transfusion, but they were in the middle of the ocean. Finally, a boat arrived to transport her.
They lowered me down with a crane, and the boat was just like bobbing around, and I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was very scary. I just remember it being dark outside, somewhat rainy, and I thought, okay, just one boat. But then I thought once I was transferred to the one boat, I would go directly to the hospital. I didn't realize it was going to be two boats and an ambulance, and everybody speaking a different language, so it was also a communication barrier.
By the time Paris arrived at the hospital in Cancun, it had been 16 hours since her medical ordeal began. There she learned her daughter did not survive. But before agreeing to treat her, the hospital staff demanded upfront payment.
It was supposed to be $5,000 of a promissory payment, but I think at one point it was trying to be increased to 10.
If payment up front sounds fishy, it's actually standard practice at medical facilities overseas. In fact, a provider could deny care and or confiscate the traveler's passport until they're paid. And then when trying to get reimbursed from your insurance company, keep in mind, international claims are often considered out of network or not covered at all.
I'm glad I watched this because damn, you go overseas or out of the country, that is harsh. That's wild, yo. Good thing they had that bread. Shit. Wow.
Also, most standard U.S. insurance plans don't cover medical evacuation, nor do they pay for your return to the States for treatment. For those benefits, you would need to purchase separate medical travel insurance. Paris and John wish they had known all that.
Research every avenue you have before you travel.
Make sure you have insurance.
Yeah, make sure you check every box before you travel so you can make sure that everything is in place.
After a few days, Paris made it back home safely, but their nightmare is far from over. Aside from overwhelming medical bills, their babies are still in Cancun. The funeral home wants more than $12,000 to return JJ and Journey to Maryland, money John and Paris do not have.
We had a family friend that was able to set up a GoFundMe to kind of help with the finances of everything. The least I wanted is for them to be stuck over there forever. But I wanted my husband to be able to see them, take pictures, have a proper burial.
The couple hopes a child will one day fill this nursery, but for now are mourning the loss of JJ and Journey and praying they can bring their babies home.
Paris says her doctors told her the preterm.
Definitely praying for that family. Wow. They ain't playing in the mother countries, y'all. Woo! Wow. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna come back later. That's what's going on around the world and in Detroit. Y'all be smooth now, y'all be cool, y'all be true. Salute, salute, salute.